to Landscape Photography World, the podcast for everyone passionate about landscape photography. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show, talking to landscape photographers about their motivations, their reasons behind their creative decision making, and what photography means to them. Stanley Aryanto's journey from a small town childhood in Bandung, Indonesia, to becoming an internationally recognised photographer is nothing short of inspiring. Growing up in a struggling family, Stanley believed success meant getting good grades, a secure job and a steady paycheck. After moving to Australia to study engineering and landing a corporate job, he seemed to have it all, yet felt completely unfulfilled. Choosing passion over fear, Stanley left engineering behind and discovered photography while travelling in Canada. Capturing frozen lakes, stars and ice patterns reignited his creativity and set him on a new path. Since then, his award-winning images have been published and exhibited worldwide. But for Stanley, photography is about more than recognition. It's about sharing stories, inspiring others, and living fully. In this episode, Stanley discusses his creative philosophy and his new venture, TwoRedTabs, where he's designed a highly versatile modular camera bag. We dive into the process behind its creation, its thoughtful design features, the modularity, weather resistance, and how it solves real-world problems for photographers. Stanley also shares details of its upcoming Kickstarter launch and his offer of exclusive mentorship for early backers. This conversation is both a story of chasing dreams and a call to action for photographers seeking freedom, creativity, and adventure. I have had Stanley on the show before, so I hope you'll go back and revisit that episode after listening to this one. In full disclosure, I do have a TwoRedTabs bag supplied by Stanley. I can say, having lived with it for about 6 months, that it is one of the best thought-out bags I've ever used. I hope you enjoy the show. G'day Stanley, welcome to Landscape Photography World, or welcome back to Landscape Photography World, because we spoke back in episode 74, if I remember rightly. And so if listeners are really keen to hear a lot more about your story, they can take a listen to that. We've got a couple of exciting things to talk about, haven't we?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back, Grant. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And absolutely, I've got some exciting news, a little bit of update what I've been doing. So I'm very excited to be here and to share the story with everyone.
Fantastic. Before we do that, though, let's just do a very quick recap so people know who Stanley the Wicked Hunt is.
Yeah, so I guess my story started in 2016 when I went on a Euro trip. And at that time, I didn't know photography at all. I used this small camera, G12 Canon, and I just got hooked into it on that trip. I felt like if I travel, I want to be able to capture the essence of and the story of my travel the best way possible.
Sure.
So that was the very first time where I started thinking seriously about photography. And I fell in love with astrophotography. So I decided to get a full frame camera. Long story short, in 2018, I left my engineering career to do photography full time and pursue my passion. So I did that for 8 years now, being a professional photographer, from knowing how to get clients and how to make it work, to now actually helping other people to do and get started from scratch like I was back then, in a way that is more faster, easier, and more structured. So it's been a crazy journey, 100%. And right now, over those years, one of the biggest struggles that I have is the camera bag. And when I first quit my engineering, actually, I moved to Canada, and I couldn't find a camera bag at that time that could fit all the gears that I want to carry. So I had to kind of like stuff it into my laptop bag, give it to my girlfriend at the time, right? And it's just a whole mess. And when I got to Canada, I got into hiking and started getting bruises. And, it's just a lot of horrid story about that I have with a camera bag personally.
Sure.
And that's when I decided to design my very own.
Yeah. And that's really why we're here and why you're back on the show, is to talk about the launch of your newly designed and newly built TwoRedTabs bag, which is sitting there right behind you. So why don't you tell people where the idea came from, how you came about going through prototyping, etc., and getting to the point where you're just about ready to launch?
Yeah, absolutely. As a photographers who love to travel, who love the outdoor, and who love to go on adventure, it doesn't matter what that adventure looks like to you. I know that the most important thing is to have a bag that's comfortable. And I recognize that, around in the where we are today, it's very difficult to find one that's comfortable. So I decided to use the mechanics of a hiking bag in a camera bag. So you get the comfort of a hiking bag, but the organization and more in the camera bag, right? Now, the three things that I'm focusing on is that first is comfort. Second is the accessibility, because, we have two side access, so that if you're on the go and you want to reach your camera quickly, you just swing it across, pull it out. I've got a fully open front access where you can see bird's eye view when you pack. So it's a really nice, convenient, etc. You can also open just the top for snacks jacket without the camera tumbling around, and vice versa. You can open just the bottom for the camera without all your snacks gear stumbling around, right? Some camera bags out there, you have to open all the way in order to get to your gear. And the cool thing about this is it also have a back access. So if you have the rain cover, or if you decide to put it on a dirty surface, it doesn't stick on your back.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing that's really cool about this bag is the adaptability. So it's a modular bag. It's an all-in-one camera bag. And the cool thing is that the camera bag can be transformed, attached, detached for different travel circumstances. So this is why it's specifically and purposely designed for travel, outdoor, and adventure photographers. And yeah, look, the most important thing for us as photographers is to go out there and capture those moments. But I also know that when we're traveling, sometimes we just want to go to a cafe and we just want to bring a sling messenger bag, or well, we just want to carry our wallet and the essential, or a day pack. And the cool thing about it, instead of bringing these 8 different bags in a suitcase, here we are. We could literally just bring the 2RedTabs that integrate it all together, and then you could pull it apart, pull different parts of it for different circumstances. Of course, I've tested it under the waterfall. You've seen that, and also a lot of.
I want to know, did you have your
feature.
camera in the bag at the time?
Yeah, absolutely.
that
So,
confident?
yes. So it's funny story, actually. There was this one time where I went to a waterfall. I was doing a workshop with Daniel Corden, and basically we went to this waterfall, but it was pouring, right? So I was like, oh man, it's like horrible. We got down there, and initially I have the rain cover on. I put rain cover. I don't want anything, broken. And I was like, I want to know how this thing can last in the water, yeah, under the rain, right? Especially when it's heavy rain and you have the camera in there. Now, the rain cover come with the bag. It sits under the bag, which not many camera bag has. But I know that when we put rain cover, there is a lag time. So I want to know what is that lag time.
Yeah.
And I was pretty confident because Canon is pretty good with the weather seals. I was like, it should be okay. But I had about maybe 30 minutes walk, pouring under the rain, tropical rain. So it's quite heavy. By the time I got to the hotel, it was full dry. Yeah, the whole gear full dry. Of course, after a while, it starts sipping in. So then I still need to dry the bag, right? But the camera was all dry. And so you have about 30 minutes, I would say, with the camera bag itself under moderate heavy rain, and the camera would be okay without the rain cover.
Yeah,
correct.
Amazing. Sorry, I did interrupt you there, so keep going.
That's it. Yeah, no, 100%.
I'd like to know a little bit more. You mentioned the modular design and the fact that you can you've got multiple compartments, multiple ways into the bag itself. So I think there's 6 different ways that you can open it. There's a whole raft of other features there, like you said, a day pack and a sling bag. I think there's even a laundry bag from memory. I haven't actually used that. For those listening, yes, I do have one of these bags. I love it. Took it away with me to Vietnam. I'll talk a little bit about that experience and how the bag worked or didn't work. There was a couple of things where I wish it was just a little bit smaller, but that's fine. We'll talk about that in a minute. But talk to us about some of the features of the bag and how you've put your engineering background, I guess, into the design of the bag.
Well, when I first started building this bag, it wasn't about selling it or making money from it. I was just so frustrated with the bags out there that I wanted to design one my own, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I was like, I think I could get somebody to help me out to do this in Indonesia. And so I reached out to one of my kindergarten friends and I say, hey, look, can you help me build this? And I start sketching on a paper, right? And my friend was like, what is this? How does this work? I just can't understand it. It's like, no, it's like this. Like, how could you not understand? But yeah, it started with that. I wanted a bag that works, that has the workflow of a travelers instead of just a camera bag. So it took 2 years to find somebody who can help us build the prototype. And when I got the prototype, so 2018, we got the first prototype. But the pandemic hit straight after that.
Yeah.
So I only get to test it when I came back from Canada. And when I came back from Canada, I took it on the highest volcano in Indonesia here. And that was a crazy story because we started hiking at 11 p.m.
Yep.
And we started to hike. It's only 4 kilometers, but the total elevation gain is about 1,200, a little bit over 1,200. So it's 300 meter elevation gain for every kilometer.
Wow.
Right? So it's costly. And at that time, I was just recovering from tearing my meniscus on my knee. Yeah. So it was like a test. So I took this bag. It looks totally different than this one. Well, it's a different design and everything, but we over-engineered it and it's so heavy. I was like, we have this clip, that we use for parachute and paragliding, which is really cool, but it's so heavy. Anyway, long story short, I got up there. By the time we get up to the summit, it was like 10 a.m. So it was almost 12 hours just to go out there.
Wow.
And then we took some photos. It was crazy wind. We were like holding on to each other. It's like, oh, don't fall off because there is a really thin ledge that we have to walk through to cross from the summit to like the other peak to get out to the bottom, right?
Sure.
And we ended up getting down at 5 p.m. actually, right? So I ran down because I had to get the car first. And I was like, if I'm waiting for everyone, it's going to take a lot longer. So I ran down, grabbed the car. And by the time we got home, it was like dinner time around 7 o'clock. It was one of the longest day I've ever had in hiking. But in that experience, I realized that I cannot have this bag. It's not enough because it was too heavy and it still doesn't solve my problem. When I go traveling, yes, sometimes I need a camera bag, but sometimes I need more stuff. So I need to be able to turn this into a hiking bag or a carrier style bag or simply to expand it to have more stuff. Sure. So that's where the idea of the modularity comes in. So we created this design where it's a camera bag, but you can add the top lid and expand it up with the roll top and turn it into a hiking bag. And essentially you go from 35 to up to 55 liters.
Yeah, right.
Now, from there, we got another idea. We go like, what if we make this top bag into a sling bag? So if I just like strolling around, I could just maybe carry one camera. I could just wear this. Mm-hmm. And then go like, oh yeah, we can do that. And we turned that sling bag where you can open it and turn it into a day pack, for example. And there was another idea where we go like, oh, that's a great idea. And through that, it just kind of transpires where, you know what, we could literally make all parts of this modular. And the cool thing about it now, if I'm traveling, I just need this one bag, right? So I did actually 45 days back-to-back photography workshop of 4 groups. We went to 4 different cities within 10 days. So you could imagine the amount of flights we did, right? So four times 4 is 12 cities times 2 back and forth. It's about 24 flights in 1.5 months. And I just carry the bag, expand it up to carry my clothes. And the cool thing is that once I get to the hotel, all the clothes in the roll top. So all I got to do is pull that out, put it in the hotel, and I'm good to go with my camera bag. And I avoid checking things in. I went from terminals to terminals during transit. It just saved me a whole bunch of time going out, taking the luggage, checking back in, and all of this stuff. And this is the whole point, is that I really I feel the pain as a travel and adventure photographers. And I want us to be able to focus on the adventure, on the photo, the trip, on actually coming back through the trip, enjoying ourselves instead of battling with our camera bag.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess this is where I want to talk to you about, and it's not a major shortcoming, but it's just where I wish it was a little bit smaller. There was a couple of times where on the trip in Vietnam, not a problem putting it on flights, as you said, you've got everything all in one, and it's really easy, because not only is there compartmentalized space, which is really flexible, lots of padding to protect your gear, but there's also in the top space that you can put, toiletries and a few necessities that, aren't part of your direct camera gear. And where I actually found a couple of problems was there was a few times where we actually got on small boats, and having the bag, and some of these boats, there was a little bit of water in the bottom of them. So I didn't want to put the bag on the floor. So I had to have the bag on my knees. And because, it sort of sits up there, it's under my nose, kind of restricted movement and being able to see, because I couldn't have it on my back while I was sitting in the boat, just that wasn't going to work. So there was a couple of times there where it was just a little bit too bulky. Other than that, as I say, it worked absolutely perfectly. The modular design, being able to, coming with the day pack, being able to take some of the padding out of the main bag, the main camera bag, and add that into the back of the into the day pack, so that you could still carry your camera gear and a couple of other bits and pieces around, when you're walking around town. You did quite a lot of walking around Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City and Hoi An and a few other places. And that day pack came in very handy, because I didn't have to take all of the gear, because I knew I was going to be doing quite a lot of light walking. It wasn't hiking, but I knew there'd be a lot of walking around the street, and carrying the big bag and taking that off, or trying to maneuver it to take gear out and change lenses and all that sort of thing just wasn't really an option. So I stuck to a single lens, single body, and was able to carry that around no problem. The only other thing I'd probably add to that would be maybe you stick a couple of Velcro points inside that bag, but that's the TwoRedTabs times 2. But
so interesting points that you mentioned there. So I mean, for those of you who watch in YouTube, you'll see the bag, right? So this is the day pack. Actually, we built an inner unit for this, so where you could actually put it in there and have a little bit padding for your camera and everything. Perfect. And that's the part of it. But if you see this, it's really easy to kind of just tuck it in, roll it over, and then you zip that up, and then it turns into like a sling bag, or a top lid for a hiking mode. Now, I know what you're talking about with the size, because I think there is no one size fit all. I think this is still applied for everyone. So when I designed this bag, I designed it for the space actually. So we have some photographers who are safe by this bag, and instead of them carrying two bags, like literally two camera bags,
Yeah.
they could fit everything in there. And this is the whole purpose of the 35 liter. So you see that the bottom part, you have the gears, and then the top you have, you could put the jackets and everything. But the cool thing about it is that right now we actually have two sizes. So we have the 25 liter for people who have a smaller cameras, mirrorless, etc. And then we have the 35 liter for people who have more gears. Personally, the 25 liter is too small for me. It doesn't fit the gears, especially with the drone. While as the 35, it fits. So I had DJI Mavic 3 Pro with me. I had a 5D Mark IV, 2470, 1635, 7200, extender 2X, extra body, filters. I've got about 5 filters that I took with me, and I still can put jackets, snacks, and everything. Yeah. And that's what I needed, right? But if you just need a smaller one,
that load to Vietnam with me, and all of that, as you say, there was still space in the 35 liter for more gear on top of that. And so, from that perspective, in traveling, getting on flights, not having to have multiple bags, not having to just have your camera bag, your camera gear with you on board, and having to put everything else, like all your essentials and your toiletries, down in the hold in your main, suitcase and whatever. Some of the other features I really liked, the ability, particularly moving around airports, was there's a strap that actually can go around the handle of your trolley bag. So, I've got two big suitcases that actually have the extendable handle so that you can wheel that around behind you when you're in the airport. You just strap the TwoRedTabs bag on the back there, and it's easily portable around the airport without it being on your back. So it really does make it very handy and easy to travel with. And so really appreciate a lot of the design thinking that's actually gone into the manufacture of the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as a landscape photographer, I know that how often we needed filters, right? Yeah. And we designed this filter pouches where it has its own filter slot on the side, right? It's perfectly sized for it. And the idea of it was when you need to reach for the filter, you don't want to be opening your bags and going through it. You just go no, it's on the side. It's right there. You pull it out, right? You pull the filter out. You put it on your camera. You're good to go. Yeah. Or if you want, you could even pull it out, and there is a clip that you could put in there, and then you could literally put it on your belt, and it's hang there on the belt. I think this small thing, I know that you go a lot on the sea, right? On the water, and sometimes it's really difficult to put things down because the waves comes in, especially in Australia. There's a lot of seascape, and this is where design like this will help a lot of photographers to be able to reach to their gears. Absolutely. Because they're purposely put in a place where it's easy to access. Yeah. Right?
Well, the times that I've used it, being able to swing it off one shoulder and swing it around in front of you, and then open up from the side and reach in, grab a camera or a body or a lens or whatever. And as you said, those filter things on the side make it dead easy to use. So really do appreciate what's gone into the thinking around the bag. I guess the next thing to talk about is the launch and the promotions that you're planning in the next few weeks for the actual launch of the bag and the public availability of the bag. It's been in sort of pre-public circulation for a little while with pre-sales and so forth going on. What's the plan going forward, and how's that actually going to work for people?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Grant. Look, our mission with TwoRedTabs is to build a supportive community of photographers, videographers, and content creators. And our vision is to be able to help photographers and creators to be able to do what they love the most to the highest of their potential. And we're starting with a camera bag, but we want to take people in a long-term experience as well as education to help them to get to the skill or the level that they want to be.
Sure.
I have teach and coach for quite some times, and I see that there is an easy way and a hard way to get to where you want to be. And for me, myself, now I'd rather to just learn from someone else than trying to go through my trial and error ourselves. So our bag is it's about a decade now since the idea first come up. We've tested so I tested it to Annapurna circuit, and that was quite tough. Actually, I had about 25 kilogram, and it was 200 kilometers total with an elevation gain of over 3,500. So tested this bag personally with all the gears in it, taking a risk that hopefully doesn't break in the middle of the trip. So now that we feel that we're finally ready, we want to build this community of photographers. That's our aim. And the bag is, as you said, has been tested, and there's a little bit over 50 photographers out there and videographers out there who already wore our bag.
Mm-hmm.
And any feedback that we get to them, we make iterations. So you see that it's gonna be a little bit evolution from the people who first buy it to the latest version. But essentially, we always continuously improving the design to make it easier for photographers.
Yeah.
Now we're excited that we are finally able to present this solution to photographers and videographers out there. And we're looking to launch on the 4th of November.
Perfect.
And it's going to be on Kickstarter because we need your help to be able to share this solution with more people out there. Because once we have the demand, then we can start increasing our production or having a bigger production. So yeah, I'm very excited. In the beginning, it was a solution for me, and then people start asking questions about it, and it become a solution that help other photographers to be able to do more of what they love, to go out there, do adventure, go on trip, and be able to capture those once in a lifetime moment.
Fantastic. Very excited to see the launch and see how the Kickstarter, etc. goes. Now, I know we talked a little bit before the show about a couple of things that we want to do in terms of promotion. One is there'll be a special landing page, which will be in the notes. So if you sign up for the bag and you actually go and buy one, then you can use a special link that'll be in the show notes. That will actually sort of help me out a little bit, but also help out Stanley with his promotion as well. We're also doing a giveaway, which we will announce on Instagram between the 3 or 4 channels. There's 4 channels, isn't there? So there's GrantSwinburnePhotography.com, there's The Wicked Hunt, there's TwoRedTabs, and there's the Landscape Photography World podcast. So we'll be launching that very soon. Keep an eye out on the socials for those channels, and hopefully you could win something out of the giveaway.
Yeah, and I think there's I have something special as well with the launch, is that when people jump into our community and purchase the bag in the Kickstarter campaign, they will actually get mentorship with me for 3 months.
Fantastic.
Right? And this is very exciting, and this is only for Kickstarter special. And this is part of my way of giving back and delivering in our mission to help photographers to get the most of, to become the best version of themselves, right? I mean, I've won over 100 awards, get published and exhibited. And I know there are a lot of photographers who are wondering what needs to be done, how can they get there, even some of the process that it requires to get there. I know that when I first started, I was clueless about that, and I spent like weeks and months trying to like, oh, okay, what do I do? What should I submit? Especially when it comes to publishing and all that. So I'd love to be able to share my knowledge. I'd love to be able to share my experience and pass it forward to photographers and videographers and content creators who want to get there, so that they can get there faster and easier. I truly believe that, a rising tide lifts all ships. So let's build it together, let's grow together, and let's win together.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for being on the show again, and thanks for talking about your amazing new bag. Where can people sign up? What's the URL for people to get into the Kickstarter?
Yeah, you're very much welcome, Grant. I'm very honored to be here with your podcast. As always, it's such a pleasure to always to talk to you. The best way for people to see more of the bag. So for those of you who listen to this, there's gonna be an exclusive, what they call it, bonus for the launch, where if you sign up to the email list or the pre-Kickstarter launch, you'll actually get a secret link that gives you access to the bonus when you purchase. So basically the link is LPW, so landscape photography. Landscape photography world .TwoRedTabs.com. So lpw.tworedtabs.com.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Grant. I'm very excited to have, the LPW community to take them on a journey and adventure with TwoRedTabs.
Yeah, same here. And I wish you every success with sales on the bag and getting the Kickstarter underway.
I appreciate that.
Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at gruntswinburnphotography.com, along with prints and photography gear. I'm on Vero, YouTube, Photo, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps get the podcast heard and seen. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.